Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday's Sports on the Sports History Network. Today we will have part 3 of the 1975 NFC Divisional Playoff game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Minnesota Vikings. And if you listen to the first two podcasts on this game, you will know that I was supposed to have my friend Dave Depaola on as a guest. Unfortunately, that did not work out, so I will be reading Dave's comments. Rather than you hearing Dave's voice, you will hear me reading off Dave's comments. So we begin the second half with Minnesota starting at their 25-yard line. Tarkenton threw a 13-yard pass to running back Ed Marinaro, who ran it to the Cowboys' 35-yard line. This is Dave commenting. Ed Marinaro went to Cornell, and he was a candidate for the Heisman Trophy. This is myself commenting. That's right, Dave. He was the runner-up to quarterback Pat Sullivan. Dave commenting. Yes, and he didn't have the kind of career in the NFL that everyone expected him to have. He only played 6 seasons, 4 with the Vikings, 1 with the Jets, and 1 with Seattle. Minnesota drafted him in 1972, but then they drafted Foreman the next year, and he turned out to be the featured back. Mark commenting, yeah, Marinaro had a good year in 1975, catching passes out of the backfield. He had 54 receptions for 462 yards and was the Vikings' leading receiver in this game, with 5 receptions for 64 yards. After his NFL career ended, he became a reasonably successful actor. After 2 runs gained 7 yards, Tarkenton tried to connect with Gilliam on a sideline route, but the result was an incompletion. A 45-yard field goal attempt by Fred Cox was way off the mark. Dallas took possession at their 28-yard line. 2 runs gained 7 yards, and on 3rd and 3, Staubach connected with Preston Pearson for a 13-yard gain. Another 15 yards were tacked on for a late hit penalty. A short pass to tight end Billy Joe Dupree gained another 18 yards. With no one open, Staubach ran for 3 yards to bring the ball to the Vikings' 17-yard line. Doug Dennison burst up the middle on 2nd and 7 for a 10-yard gain. After 2 runs gained only 3 yards, Dennison, behind great blocking from the offensive line, burst across the goal line for a touchdown. The point after kick evened the score at 7. A mishandled kickoff return put Minnesota in poor field position from their 12-yard line. Tarkenton threw long to Chuck Foreman, but the pass fell incomplete. After another incomplete pass, Tarkenton, facing a strong pass rush, ran for a 13-yard gain. After a 3-yard run and an incomplete pass, Tarkenton was sacked by rookie Randy White. Minnesota punted, and Dallas took possession at their 46-yard line. Dave commenting, in the third quarter, the Cowboys started to play some of their young guys, like rookie Randy White and second-year linebacker Calvin Peterson. They lost Peterson to Tampa Bay in the 1976 expansion draft, but they still had some great veterans like Jethro Pugh and Larry Cole, who moved from defensive end to defensive tackle after Bob Lilly retired. Harvey Martin was only in his third year and Ed Jones was in his second, and they would become terrific defensive ends for years to come. D.D. Lewis was in his seventh season and became a solid replacement for Chuck Howley. Rookie Thomas Henderson eventually became a starting linebacker, replacing Dave Edwards, who retired at season's end. Defensive backs Mark Washington, Cliff Harris, and Charlie Waters were in their sixth season, so they had a good mixture of young and veteran players. Mel Renfro played 2 more seasons, and he might have played a little longer, but he started having a lot of problems with his feet. Mark commenting, the artificial turf likely caused those foot problems. That turf messed up a lot of players' feet. 2 runs up the middle gained 7 yards. On 3rd and 3, Staubach rolled out to the right and took off running, gaining 5 yards. A run up the middle and an end around brought up a 3rd and 3. Staubach rolled right on the option play again and ran for the first down marker, but came up about a foot short. The Cowboys went for it as they had done earlier in the game. Behind some great blocking, Doug Dennison got the first down. After a run, lost 1 yard, Staubach connected with Robert Newhouse on a 13-yard pass completion. The next 3 plays gained 9 yards, bringing up a 4th and 1 as the third quarter ended. As the fourth quarter began, a 25-yard field goal by Tony Fritsch gave Dallas a 10-7 lead. A good kickoff return gave the Vikings decent field position at their 34-yard line. A 5-yard reception and a 5-yard run gave Minnesota a first down, but an illegal procedure penalty put them back at their 34 again. An incomplete pass followed a 1-yard run by Foreman. Foreman, who had rushed for 1,070 yards during the regular season and made All-Pro, was completely shut down by the Doomsday defense, gaining 27 yards on 14 carries up to this point. 1975 NFL MVP Fran Tarkington was also having a tough day, throwing for just 84 yards. The Viking faithful were getting frustrated and some slight booing could be heard. Dave commenting, they were putting the clamps on the Vikings offense. Those who weren't around back then might not know how good Chuck Foreman was. He gained a lot of yardage for Minnesota, both rushing and receiving, but the Dallas defense completely shut him down in this game. Their defensive line was tying up the blockers, and the linebackers were making a lot of tackles. Jordan, Dave Edwards, and D.D. Lewis were all excellent tacklers. The entire Cowboys defense was putting the screws to Tarkington. Staubach outplayed him in this game, and he was playing with injured ribs. I think one of the announcers mentioned it. He didn't do much running in this game, and I think that's why. Back to Mark commenting. Those are all excellent points, Dave. The Vikings punted and Dallas took possession at their 20-yard line. After 2 plays gained only 5 yards, Staubach dropped back to pass, but good coverage by the Vikings secondary and a strong pass rush by Alan Page forced Roger to run. He got enough for the first down, but a penalty put them back on their 20-yard line. Staubach threw long to Golden Richards on 3rd and 11, but the usually reliable Richards dropped the ball. Richards, one of the fastest players on the team, he ran a 4.29 40-yard dash, had nothing but an open field in front of him. Dave commenting, "Yeah, and Richards passed away in February of this year. He and Larry Cole went to the University of Hawaii. Larry Cole may have been the first player out of that college to start in the NFL." Mark commenting, "I think you're right, Dave." The Cowboys punted and Minnesota took possession at their 30-yard line. Tarkenton threw long to Gilliam, and Mark Washington almost had himself an interception. An ineligible receiver downfield penalty against Minnesota put the ball back at the Vikes' 20-yard line. Foreman gained 7 yards on a run and fumbled, but Minnesota recovered. On the next play, Tarkenton connected with Foreman on a 16-yard pass reception. The next play gained only 2 yards, but then Foreman ran for 7 yards. A short pass to Ed Marinau gained 6 more, as the cheering got louder. After an incomplete pass, Foreman caught a short pass and gained 12 yards. A reverse to Brent McClanahan gained 13 more yards. A run by Foreman gained 12 yards, and another run by Foreman gained 4 yards, putting the ball at the 1-yard line. McClanahan bowled in for the touchdown. The point after made the score Minnesota 14, Dallas 10. The drive took 11 plays, gained 70 yards, and took 6 minutes and 8 seconds. The Vikings' only sustained drive of the game came at the right time. Or did it? There was still 5 minutes and 11 seconds left in the game. The Cowboys took possession at their 25-yard line. The Vikings' defense was ready, forcing an incompletion followed by a Jim Marshall and Alan Page sack. A delay of game penalty put the Cowboys in a 3rd and 23 situation. A bad snap left Staubach scrambling for the ball and his life. Dave commenting, "Yeah, this was the second bad snap with more to come. The Cowboys started using the shotgun formation that season. In today's game, everyone uses it. But back then, no one was using the shotgun. No team had used the shotgun in at least 15 years. Mark commenting, "That's right, Dave. Red Hickey invented the shotgun in 1960. Hickey was the head coach of the 49ers from 1959 to 1963. Tom Landry hired Hickey as a receivers coach in 1964. He did that job for 2 years and then worked as a scout for the Cowboys until 1982. In 1975, Tom Landry asked for Hickey's assistance in bringing back the shotgun, and they've been using it ever since." The Cowboys punted and Minnesota took over at their 45-yard line. After 2 runs gained 7 yards, Tarkenton rolled out to his right and was sacked by Charlie Waters. Dave commenting, "The sack by Charlie Waters might have been the most crucial play in the game, but it gets overlooked. The game would likely have been over if Minnesota had made that first down. There were only 2 minutes left in the game. The Cowboys did have 2 timeouts left, so they might have still got the ball back, but there would have been very little time left on the clock." This play was similar to the tackle Larry Cole made on John Riggins in 1979 in that double comeback game. If Riggins made that first down, there would be no double comeback. Mark commenting, "You're right, Dave. The sack by Waters was a huge play. And right before that play, Dallas called a timeout, and Waters went over to the sideline to talk to one of the coaches. I think it was Gene Stallings, the defensive backs coach. I think Stallings knew what play the Vikings were going to run. Tarkenton rolled out to the right on the option play. Brent McClanahan ran out of the backfield and stopped just beyond the first down marker. But before Tarkenton could throw the ball to him, Waters slipped the attempted block of Chuck Foreman and brought Fran down. The Vikings punted, and Dallas took possession at their 15-yard line with 1 minute and 51 seconds left in the game. And you will have to tune in next week for our final part to find out what happened in those 1 minute and 51 seconds. That will conclude our podcast for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and God bless.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.